The wall projects, the majority of them, rest in the jurisdiction of the Army Corps of Engineer. Those that we ourselves control, I believe that the cost of discontinuing them is approximately $72 million, and I will follow up with you to ensure the accuracy of my statement this morning.
There are lawmakers, including from the New York delegation, that are popping up at campaign events while filing proxy vote letters saying they can't be here because of COVID. Do you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, well, with respect to the latter part of, the second part of your question, I haven't seen that. It hasn't been called to my attention. To the extent that it is, I'll have a comment, thereafter.
The U.S. Attorney in Delaware, Ed, has sought financial records that go back as far as 2014. And the reason that matters is because at that time, Joe Biden was holding the vice presidency and working within the White House. And that specific subpoena sought records from a major banking institution, not only for Hunter Biden, his brother James Biden, 2 of their business associates, and at least 15 entities, including the Bank of China. So you can see the scope goes far beyond, I'll say, sort of the recent history, but does go back to 2014. And the question being whether any laws were violated or tax laws violated specifically during a period when his father was in the executive branch.
Yet, we have effectively managed an unprecedented number of non-citizens seeking to enter the United States. We are mindful that there can be an increase in migratory flows encountered at our southern border should Title 42 come to an end, as the CDC has determined it needs to do by May 23rd.
When somebody says to you, what are Democrats doing to address inflation, what do you say?
Well, look, the economic stress that begins with the global pandemic, unprecedented effects on supply chains, unemployment in the middle of 2020 that was over 14%, massive economic ripple effects in every region of the world. And a massive fiscal and monetary response. All the associated shocks to our logistics infrastructure have all taken a toll. Families in my state of Georgia and families across the country are struggling with the rapidly rising prices of staples like groceries and gasoline. Congress has a role to play. The Fed has a role to play because it's something that affects families in my state and states across the country every single day.
There is cause for concern because if you look at Texas would have all these companies move from California over the years. So you'd have companies move from San Francisco to Austin, and they'd bring hundreds of employees with them. And those employees would vote the exact same way they voted that turned San Francisco into the dumpster fire that it is. And it's like the leftism, they will not draw the connection between their leftist ideology and the destruction that's all around them. And so it is a problem because I do think there's a class of voters who would come to Florida and they would continue to vote the same way.
We are working with our European allies and partners as well as others to transition away from Russian sources of energy and ultimately to transition away from fossil fuels entirely and to continue this transition to renewable, to sources of energy that will see to it that neither the United States nor any country around the world is held hostage to a country like Russia who can close the spigot whenever they so choose.
The Biden administration is getting the immigration policy that they designed. They stripped away all the restrictions for actually people crossing the border. They get this result. Now, with record high numbers of people illegally crossing the border, now they're saying, and we're going to drop Title 42 as well. So we get record high numbers now of illegal crossings, and they're going to say we're going to strip away the last piece that we hadn't taken away before to increase this number even higher. Now, I remind everyone that's here of the simple fact that 221,000 encounters, as they called them, from the last month is a record high number. But what people are not talking about as well are the 66,000 what they call gotaways that also happened last month. Well, it's people from 157 different countries just in the last 6 months that have crossed the border. None of these individuals have a criminal background check actually carried out on them from their home country. And for the 66,000 gotaways that happened just last month, we have no criminal background check in this country or in their previous country. And having even more people cross the border with no check, with no evaluation of their previous history at all. This is why I say it is policy insanity what they're doing. The plan that we were given yesterday this plan statement that came in from Alejandro Mayorkas. This plan that was supposed to define out for us is not a plan at all. It's basically how they're going to move people into the country faster. That's a major problem. And can I tell you, if you read through the report, and I hope you do, from what they call a supposed plan, this is not a plan. This is just what they plan to be able to carry out to do to increase the numbers even more. It's not a plan to decrease the numbers. And I can say that not based on my opinion, but based on theirs. Go to the back of their report of their supposed plan on this. They end with their conclusion statement. May I read this to you? The conclusion statement says, despite the best efforts of our dedicated DHS workforce and our partners executing this comprehensive plan, a significant increase in migrant encounters will substantially strain our system even further. So their plan is not to reduce the number of people crossing. Their plan is, this is about to get worse, and we're aware that this is about to get worse. This is not a plan to stop illegal immigration. This is a plan to accelerate illegal immigration, and they even admit it. This has got to stop. The American people just want the enforcement of our laws. That is not too much to ask.